How many of you may have known someone that is dealing with a brain injury like a stroke, or someone that is coping up with blindness? Indeed, it can be challenging. And maybe you would wonder as to, would this person be able to move his paralyzed arm once again to hold his loved ones close by? Or maybe you wonder whether this person be able to at least see that much in order to get her way around. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Traditionally, the scientists always said the brain can't do it. They thought brain is pretty compartmentalized. Taking the example of visual systems, you have visual information coming from the eyes, making its way back to the brain, to the visual processing areas via fixed set of nerves. And it doesn't work. However, now there is a growing evidence coming from neuroscientists disputing that by tapping an innate capacity in our brains called brain plasticity, which essentially means that our brains are not like a computer circuit in that you once made, they are never changeable. In fact, as the research suggests, the brains can actually rewire themselves very selectively. And I want to tell you, how that might happen and what kind of applications might emerge from that. But first, I would encourage everyone to look at the inner workings of a brain itself, to get a feel for it. And it looks real, almost real life. So this outer surface of the brain consists of about 10 billion cells, and that could be as many as the number of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. And all these 10 billion cells combined form a trillion plus connections among themselves. All this can actually fit with the complexity of the structure and the size in an area as small as a sheet of a dinner napkin. Essentially, in the brain, you have various functions such as vision, hearing, smell, movement, language, organized in a logical manner. The functions are also, by the way, symmetrically organized amongst the left and the right side of the brain. And this is in fact a key nature has kept in our brains to allow for plasticity. In fact, this very plasticity is at play when we are learning new skills and getting better at them. For instance, according to the researchers in Germany, whenever string instrument players like guitarists or violinists are practicing on their instrument all the time, the brain is actually increasing the sensation that it receives corresponding to the left-hand side of the brain only. Okay? In a sense, it means more practice creates more connections in the brain, and more connections means more knowledge. Well, this is well and good, but how does brain plasticity actually help people in coping up with trauma into the brain, such as a stroke? Well, so there is a case study done by a University of Alabama neuroscientist, whereby they are following a set of patients, and in this example there is a patient that has paralysis on a left arm and is coping up a therapy, and there is an intentional constraining of the right hand side arm in a way that forces the patient to use the the left-hand side with some basic tasks. Of course, in the beginning it is difficult, but with practice, this patient is able to slowly perform those tasks such as moving a ball or cleaning the table, and eventually regain the capacity of even writing and playing tennis. Now, what happens is the brain, again, has taken the affected areas where the stroke has hit and reassigns those functions of movement into the other side of the brain, and voila, the capacity is regained thanks to the reassignment. And in the case of vision loss, again, there was a famous study done by a researcher named Dr. Paul Bacharita at the University of Wisconsin, wherein he's posing a simple question as to, could a teenage girl who is blind since birth participate in school choir activities? She wants to be a lead singer, and this researcher has essentially created a contraption whereby the recording of the surroundings comes via cameras, and it is directly fed as simplified images directly to the tongue of the subject. So this girl goes through this exercise, and over a period, she's able to track the basic movements of the conductor that is playing it, and then eventually form the overall sequence of the gestures that the conductor is following. So essentially, with the simple circuit reallocation from the tongue directly to the visual processing, she is able to actually see it in her own way. Okay, so all these approaches can take years before they become mainstream, but today there are these options available for us to be able to adapt and change our brain thanks to this brain plasticity there. And whenever we do come across a person that is facing one of the challenges, do think of the possibilities that brain plasticity can bring.